Hey there, Reece here from Creator Concepts. Haven't done a video in a little while, but I thought I would just do a documenting the journey style video, as it's been a few weeks, few months since I've actually sat down and had the time to record something. So, um, this is your first time on the channel. What we do is we're a app development agency, so we design, build, and launch apps and software, SaaS products, and tools for entrepreneurs, for founders, for businesses who basically want to solve a problem or launch something new. We're a no-code development specialist, so we use Bubble, which is a visual development tool for designing and building apps and software. It ships with its own like database, all of the kind of infrastructure and hosting all set up for you, and you can essentially design and build apps, go live on the web very, very quickly, or get launched on the app stores. Really, really powerful platform. We've been using it for the last 8 years now, over 8 years, and we are essentially domain experts within Bubble, and we use it for all of our clients. We've got over 100 clients over the last few years, and yeah, it's great. It's great. So anyway, set that aside. Purpose of this video really is just for me to figure out, or at least have a sounding board of where we're going to go next with the agency. We're taking on bigger and better projects. At the moment, we've got some fantastic clients that we're working with, and we've got some fantastic referrals, and we're also doing new business coming in from Google Ads and other bits and pieces. But I'm trying to figure out what the next steps of the business look like, whether we stay solely as an agency, as a service-based business, or if we introduce some kind of education side to what we do. And that could be something like a program where we sit down and design, build, and launch an app alongside you. We pre-record it, or I pre-record a whole session. I've been working with a podcast studio in London. I'll say working with, I've been booking out a podcast studio for our content now, just to increase the quality of the content that we're running as ads. And it's a really fantastic space where I think I can sit down and actually run through how to design, build, and launch a mobile app very, very quickly, probably in like 5 to 10 hours, maybe, and cover all bases from the design, what tools you can use to design an app, how you can then build it within Bubble, and then how you can deploy to the app stores, and what things to look out for when submitting for App Store review, and the differences between like a wrapped app or a fully native app, that kind of thing. And I think that's probably going to be an area that I want to look into a little bit more, because with a small team, we can only get so far with development of bigger projects, and we end up turning a lot of people away in terms of the project that they bring to us and whether we can fulfill it or not. And I feel like that's a bit of a shame. There's a lot of talented founders out there, a lot of people that would be potentially interested in working with us, but not necessarily on a done for you type basis, but something where it's done alongside them, or we show them how to do it. We do that through like essentially an education service, and then we have scheduled calls as group calls to go through any Q&As, questions, blockers that they may have, whether it's technical questions or just general questions about getting on the app stores, or how to get SaaS users, how to launch, how to connect the domain up, all these kind of things that I'm starting to gather are on people's minds just from working with clients, and also putting a few bits of content out there, a few how-to videos on YouTube. I think my top watched video with a few thousand views is how to connect the domain to your Bubble app. Obviously, that's a super simple thing to do for people who know how to do it, but obviously everyone else doesn't know how to do it. So I think there's a lot of stuff we can share from a basic and beginner level to help people get on that journey. And I don't know whether we would charge for that, or how we would do it in terms of, is it going to be a subscription access? There's a lot of things that I think we could and should be doing as a business to grow and to hit the next sort of growth numbers that I want to see from the business, which I think sits outside of the typical service model, the typical scope, build, deploy, and then support. I think we can scale beyond that, because obviously with a service business, you're constrained by your service delivery ability. So we've only got a small team. We can only do X amount of projects per month. And then with projects comes updates, maintenance, and obviously that takes part of the team's time as well. So as we grow and add more projects, we actually constrain the amount of new projects we can take on because we have maintenance and tweaks and changes from previous projects. So we then need to scale headcount in line with demand. But the problem is when you scale headcount with service-based businesses, there's often peaks and troughs of inbound leads and new business. So, and I've done this before. I've made the mistake of bringing in so many people all at once that when we didn't have enough projects and work to fulfill them, you're paying potentially time that you're paying team members, and work isn't being done because there isn't new work to do. So it's a very difficult space to be in, where we could almost have an education side to the business that brings in leads, and then some of those people can graduate to be done for you. So we would then build the app for them if they're struggling, or they just decide, actually, we want you guys to build it for us. So it could work as like a lead generation tool, obviously providing a load of value and support for people who do it themselves. But then for a select few people, they could potentially graduate into the higher done for you ticket service that we provide. So yeah, something I'm thinking about. I've just sent out an email to kind of gauge interest in an education side. I think it would work really well with Meta, Facebook and Instagram ads. I think, education, when you look at high performing businesses that run primarily on Facebook and Instagram advertising, a lot of them are education businesses, and they sell knowledge and expertise. And, some of them are better than others, naturally. But the real legit ones out there often come from agency guys who've figured things out, built up, a good reputation, and then need to get to the next level, and they want to turn their expertise into something that they can sell, package up, and, affect a greater proportion of the population, and equipping them with those skills. And I think, we would never do anything like guaranteed success or, any kind of crazy financial claims and all of that kind of stuff you see. That's like completely the opposite of what we do. When you build an app or a piece of software, you're essentially trying to build a business for the long term. It's by no means a get rich quick type thing. And, we say this to our clients, and we also it's just generally the way it works. So we wouldn't be selling any kind of outcome like that. What we'd be selling is the expertise that we've picked up as a team and we've developed, and packaging that up into something that's consumable and digestible, so that you don't have to go through eight years of teaching yourself like I have, potentially even longer than that now, probably more like 10 years of, starting at 19 and then developing businesses and software business and all that kind of stuff over the last 10 years or so, and obviously working with clients. That's tremendously valuable if you can distill all of that and digest it in 10 hours of content, let's say. So I do think there's something in it. I'm still figuring out the packaging, still figuring out what it's going to look like, what it's going to feel like, what it's going to be priced at, how it's going to be priced, and how we're going to distribute it. I do think it will be a Facebook and Instagram strategy. I do think now there's a lot more onus on providing free content and free value that there wasn't so much before with education. It's very normal for education just to be paid with maybe like a teaser, whereas now it's almost like you need to make the best stuff that you provide for free and then sell implementation or sell all the extras. So I've got to figure out the economics behind something like that, whether it's viable, whether it's going to turn people off, or bring in some more great people. So there's a lot more to think about, but just something that I've been considering. Let me know in the comments if you think education is the way to go, and if it's something that, if you are considering building an app or building a piece of software with Bubble, that you would be interested in or want to hear more about. would love to know. So yeah, I'll wrap it up here, 10 minutes. And yeah, keen to everyone's thoughts. Thanks.